In this chapter, we are going to give you an overview over which muscles are actually important, starting off with the abs. The abs is this big sheet of muscle that I think everyone would be familiar with. This is also called the rectus abdominis muscle, but honestly, we are just going to keep this very simple and just call this the abs. The anatomy is hard enough as it is, and the simpler we can make it and the more understandable we can make it, the better. So the abs is this big shape here in the front. Then we have the pecs. The pecs is this nice triangular shape that goes onto the front of the chest. This is the main chest muscle and is really important. Unlike the abs, that is one main mass of muscle, this one here actually has three distinct pieces of mass. That makes this a bit more complicated, but of course we are going to go in depth into that in the next chapter. For now, just know that we have the abs and then we have the pecs, or the pectoralis major. And when you see a major in any anatomical name, you can be pretty sure that there's going to be a minor there somewhere as well. And that's exactly what we're seeing with this guy here. This is the pectoralis minor. This is a muscle that's not incredibly important to really understand like exactly how it works, exactly where it goes from and to, because this isn't something you're going to see directly. This is one of these muscles that simply contributes a bit of surface form, and there's going to be a few of these muscles that will go underneath other muscles. Going a bit from the side now, we have two muscles here we have to know about. The first one is going to be the serratus, or the serratus anterior. And this is a saw blade-like muscle that goes like so. This is essentially just a saw blade. You can simplify this in a very simple way, down like so. And the serratus is going to interlock beautifully with another muscle called the external obliques. That's going to go down like so. And this is going to be rotating the body. This is a really important muscle to keep in mind as well. And that's really it for the front. Pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, the abs, external obliques, and the serratus. So let's move on to the back. The first back muscle we are going to be talking about is going to be the trapezius, or just the traps if you're into lifting terminology. This is an absolutely massive muscle on the back that you're going to be seeing on basically every single character. This is a very important muscle, and I highly recommend that you properly memorize this muscle. So just the traps. Then we have another muscle that's of similar size. This is also an absolutely massive one, and this is the lats, or the latissimus dorsi. This is a muscle that goes here on the sides, and this contributes a huge amount of volume, both from the back and actually from the front as well. There are some back muscles that you can see from the front, and both of these are examples of that. So if we were to go to the front now, when we're dealing with the lats or the latissimus dorsi, you can really see this muscle here, like so, depending, of course, on how large it is. Some people you can't see it at all, but if you're quite well developed, you're definitely going to be able to see the lats in the same way as you can see the traps, where even if you're not developed, you're still going to be able to see the traps. But if you are quite developed, you're going to see this like massive bodybuilder shape, like so. Then we have two muscles on the scapula, on the actual shoulder blade, that we have to talk about. The first one is going to be the infraspinatus, which is this big muscle right here. And then the second one is going to be the teres major, which is this muscle down here. The teres major is actually more prominent of these muscles, even though the infraspinatus looks much larger. The infraspinatus doesn't really do a whole lot in terms of the actual movement of it. Then we have another muscle called the rhomboids. The rhomboids is this muscle right here that is shaped, you guessed it, like a rhomboid, like so. And this is one of those muscles that just goes underneath the trapezius here and is going to contribute a bit to volume, but you can pretty much only see it in very specific cases, in very specific poses. And then we have a muscle here on the bottom. Let me just move the whole thing up just a little bit. And that is going to be the spinal erectors. The spinal erectors is a series of muscles that's going to go from the bottom here, from the hips all the way down up here like so. And this is basically just a tube. it's a pretty complicated bunch of muscles, and when you start to actually look at the muscles here, there's all sorts of stuff going up. But we can simplify them into essentially just the spinal erectors. So that's really it for the back muscles. As you can see, it's not really that complicated once you start to break it down into just the most important muscles. We have the traps here, the trapezius. We have the infraspinatus. We have the teres major. We have actually the serratus anterior. That's the same muscle we looked at from the front, the saw blade muscle. Then we have the spinal erectors. And then we have the latissimus dorsi right here. And then from the front, then we have the pecs, this nice triangular shape here, the pectoralis major. We have the rectus abdominis, the abs, which go down like so. And then we have the obliques, the external obliques, going right here. And then we have, again, the serratus anterior going in here. And those are really the muscles we need in order to create really most things. So in the next chapter, we are going to go through the torso muscles from the front, these muscles here, more in depth.